Good morning. Thank you very much for your attendance. We're going to start our tourist marketing seminar, and we have Francisco Madrid, who is the director of the tourism school at Universidad Anáhuac. Also, Lourdes Alcalá, who is in charge of the Mexico brand with dual mega chemistry, and also Rodrigo Cobo, who is the CEO of Talaria Marketing and with a major in tourist marketing. And he has been in this field for several years, for many years. Therefore, his expertise is excellent. And first and foremost, Francisco Madrid will tell us what is taking place with all these convention offices and all these promotion entities in different parts of the world. Next, Lourdes Alcara will share the strategy of the Mexico brand. How come we or how are we working with the Mexico brand, and what are the differences between what was taking place some years ago? And last but not least, Rodrigo Cobo will make general comments about all the topics discussed, and then we will have the participation of the people accountable of several brands, destinations. In other words, we have Luis Palacios from Los Cabos, who is the director of the Tourist Promotion Trust, and this project about water and chocolate in Tabasco, with which we create a new route in the southern part of Mexico. Fernando Gonzalez, who is the chairman of the Riviera Nayarit Hotels Association, and was with us since this brand was developed. We also have Miguel Gonzalez, who has a lot of expertise in tourism. He was in Vallarta, and at present is the Director General of Promotion of the state of Jalisco. And finally, we will have Gloria Cano, who is the Deputy Secretary of Guadalajara. She will Guanajuato, I correct. And by means of gastronomy, Guanajuato is having a position. This is unprecedented due to the initiative presented by Fernando Oliveira. If you deem it fit, I will give the floor to Francisco Madrid, the director of the School of Tourism at Universidad Anáhuac. Thank you very much. Thank you for your invitation. Thank you for being awake this early. And we will quickly go to the presentation. I will be helped by someone with the slides. We have three topics. I will make three sections. I will have three sections. First of all, the comments, then the profile of present consumers in order to really be able to tell you about this. And I will tell you here and in connection with everything that this is based upon all the sources we have had. In this case, well, I will tell you that in terms of tourism, size is important. We're going to speak about the evolution of this topic. Next one, please. For a long period of time, the ones who work in this tourist activity, we had to take into account all the tourist plans, and they were inspired by the following. We're living and is anybody listening to the English translation? If so, will you please raise your hand? Is anybody listening to the English translation? If so, will you please raise your hand? Thank you. So it is said that people sleeping over in different destinations are growing the index they are using by 5.4%. Here also, we also include domestic flights by the same token. In the near future, not only in terms of in per capita terms, but as to the portfolio, Asia Pacific as an exporting market will exceed some other more mature markets, for instance, Europe, and it is expected that in 2018, the region that will spend more in tourist destinations will be Asia Pacific. And let's not forget that the sexiest part of the business is international tourism, but actually, we think now that per each international travel, we have six travels in domestic markets. Even with the recent facts we see, for instance, in China, this might change and maybe it will be over six trips per each international flight. And now, here we have these figures in Mexico. We do not have a perfect measuring process, but we estimated that we will have 170 million trips in the international market, which is very large, 3 billion. And in the last year, it grew by 1/4%. And finally, the US market is about 2 billion trips in the domestic market. The second topic I want to tell you about your experts, marketers, and of course, you will see something new in spite of it, of your expertise. So what we have heard is that, well, a good part of our market is formed by the baby boomers, and not only in the United States or only in the United States. This is 157 billion, which is 10 times more of the income we had in our country. Speaking about a market that as a whole must be just a part of it, part of it. So in terms of this, we can say that they travel about 3.1. And please remember that the most important leisure activity of this market is traveling. It is a market formed by the people who were born after the Second World War and until 1964. So this implies challenges and opportunities. On the next slide, we see seven trends of what the baby boomers are looking for. First, we need to privilege this ecotourism. Second, adventure tourism. I would say that all depends. For instance, there is light adventure and extreme adventure tourism. So we have to include this component, of course, medical tourism, because they are aging, and I think that some destinations in the northern part of our country are really avant-garde. Next, we have this multi-generational trips, and this is something very interesting. The bucket list. What is the bucket list? I mean, the places you cannot miss. How can we be iconic? For instance, somebody might say, I'm going to get to know the seven wonders of the world, of the seven wonderful places of Mexico, but we need to appear in a bucket list. So they are really motivated by passion, wine, food, oil paintings. These are very important drivers of the market. And finally, what we call the spiritual tourism. And this is everything related to going back to spirituality. And maybe, well, this is the trendiest, the hottest group, the millennials. We know that today this people who are between 20 to 34, the ones who were born after 1980s, the 1980s, are mostly motivated by business trips. I think this is a very important finding for those who operate in this sector. In the next 4 years, this group of people will be the driving labor force in the world. Which are some of the characteristics this market has? Well, we see a generation who wants immediate things, they need immediate rewards, and they do not plan for the next 4 years. They want an immediate response. They are very prone to autobiographies, which are expressed in this Twitter, Facebook mini biographies. They want to give testimonials of what they do, of what they live, and what they travel. They really like to be immediately addressed. For instance, if they have a problem, for instance, they will not call the front office, but actually, or the front desk, they will really upload this on Twitter. They are very, very cautious with their money. They are always driven by curiosity, how to explore, how to find new things, and they are very fond of spontaneity, and they live in two worlds, because this is really remarkable. They get together in order to feel isolated. This is the way this market works. And the third important generation, and I will give you the next one, we have the X generation. And for the US, well, this is formed by the fourth part of the population, but 29% of their income, and a little more than the third part of wealth. This is a generation that is called, or could be called, the sandwich generation. They are not the baby boomers, they are not the millennials. They were born between 1964 and 1980. And we will give you some characteristics. They are really dominated by pragmatism. And let's remember that this generation is a generation that was characterized by a very slow population growth. And of course, families were shaped differently. They were very pragmatic. And we find two groups: the ones who are very successful, and the ones who are not. And they need kind of a spiritual awards. They are very family focused, and of course, well, if they do not have children, they can have pets. They do not rely on what authorities say, and they are led by survival, and they want to really be very authentic. In spite that these are the three large demographic sections, we need to identify urban tribes. The Lohas, whom are the ones that have to do with sustainable life, health life, bobas. Next one, singles, hipsters, double income with no children, the yuppies or yappies. And the final part of my presentation has to do with the destination marketing trends. On the next slide, here we will see, and of course, as I said at the very beginning, this is public information, and I would like to tell you that what I will tell you about appears here, and this is based upon market research made by DMAI. Here we have interesting findings. For instance, we see that nowadays destinations do not only take occur of meetings. Actually, 80% has to do with the responsibilities of the two markets. How are they formed? Here we see that there are different creation models, and we see that the most important one are the non-profitable. In spite of what is taking place here in Mexico, they are not precisely non-profitable, but they have a kind of membership. How is this research done? Well, this is answered by 327 representatives of 36 countries, and we selected 20 domineering trends among the 64 that were identified. Well, in the first trend package, we have seven. I will not read one by one. I will tell you about them a little bit later. Can I have the next slide? The next one, please. One more. Well, these trends were mapped on this Cartesian chart, having on the vertical axis the control organizations have over the trend, and on the horizontal one, the opportunity they represent. And in terms of the quadrant, the trend is placed. We see if we can capitalize it, mitigate it, to suppose or presume a contingency, or just to take the best of it. And this is modified by an importance scale. Well, this is the full map. Nothing can be understood. So let's go to the next one. Well, this is what I thought about since the very beginning. Well, here we see the social media, the platforms, personalized trips, intelligent technology, travelers who have a more personalized information, and the critical identity for the business market. Actually, this is in the package of 20, the ones you have to take into account, because you can make the best use of it other than number six. And these are the ones that have the highest plane. Here, if we're going to speak about social media consumers that want a personal experience, intelligent technology, number six is not in this quadrant. And in the seventh place, we have the critical mass. Here we also have the ones that we have subtracted from the quadrant, and some of them do not really form what we want. And here we have number 11, number 14, and we should have this on our radar, which is number 12 and number 14. Actually, we're speaking about taxes and the budget we have. We need to really pay attention to consumers who want to experience the local life, and we need to help travelers in order for them to make better decisions. For instance, we have big data arriving at tourism, and this is a big subject to be discussed. As to the package trend, are they meaningful? Of course they are, but there is a very little control at marketing offices. So other than one case, we need to take them into account. We need to monitor them, but it's very difficult to implement something. And the last one has to do with the following. The governments are very, very concerned about the economic benefits this activity will report. Well, now we are going to speak about strategic recommendations. First and foremost, which are the three critical strategies organizations should make? This is what organizations, marketing organizations, are spending on marketing and branding, meeting tourism, social media, and digital marketing. Well, something which is very important is what type of DMO you have. So you have tourist activities and what's the relationship they have with the community. These are the likely four responses to this. The ideal world is to have a close liaison with the community and become a mature market. Now, the research ends by saying, and this is the end of my presentation, there are three opportunities aimed at transforming this business. Okay, why do we have such an organization in order to give an answer to this changing market? Also to construct and protect the brand and give appropriate responses. And here I am speaking about this changing market response. They go, for instance, or they log 9 times on the web and they track 22 organizations. And this has to do with traveling. And next, they resort to TripAdvisor before making their decision. And 81% use a smartphone, and 92% really trust their peers, and three-quarter reports use the social media before and after their trip. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Now I will ask Lourdes Alcaraz, director of the Mexico brand for La Panacapa, to share her ideas with us in order to tell us what is being done in connection to do something about the Mexico brand. Thank you very much, Carlos. I see old and new faces, and we're going to give a talk on what is being done with the Mexico brand since we got it at the agency. We work for the Tourist Promotion Council, one of the several agencies, and we received the brand about 3 years ago.
The brand that we received wasn't a washing machine or a detergent. It was a country, a very diverse country, a growing country. This for us is a great challenge and a great passion. Yesterday, during lunch in the opening ceremony with the president of Mexico, he talked about this growth, historical growth last year, while the world is growing 4.7% according to the tourism organization, and Mexico grew 20.5%. So it's also our work. So I'm here to talk about from the point of view, the advertising point of view, how we have started to revalue certain aspects for the Mexico's brand. There is this important study called Brand Versus Validator, which is a most important study worldwide that measures differentiation of brands. This indicates that Mexico's brand is a strengthened brand, so strong that it represents a country. This has been the country's brand, and it shows us some of the opportunity areas to strengthen the brand. This indicated us that we should protect values as being friendly and warm, and to strengthen other values such as being unique and authentic, and to build and start walking towards the modern aspects. At that moment, when we were discussing during 2011, we were working in a concept that was Mexico, the place you thought you knew. And this concept starting to introduce the topic around experiences. It wasn't about just nice postcards, so beautiful postcards, but also about experiences and to show a diversity of destinations. Nonetheless, we were taking into account the strong areas of opportunities. These were showing only destinations with the sun and beaches, but we are convinced that Mexico is is more diverse than that. It's rich, and we wanted to start showing this diverse aspect of the country. We are not only sun and sunshine and beaches. We started changing this perception and moving towards a perception of modernism um, and different experiences. In regards to customer service, we were moving towards being friendly and warm. So our brand now is Live It to Believe It. This is a concept, a very powerful concept, which means live it to believe it. The same advertising concept includes the call to action target mentioned by Mr. Francisco, which is very diverse, and we should be punctual about this topic. Mexico must be sold as a unique experience and diverse experience. It should be sold as something unexpected, something that is modern and diverse, and forget about the cliche in things like mariachis and other experiences that are typical and traditional, but I believe we should focus on more diverse experiences. The international target were men and women over 45 years old. And with this campaign, we wanted to show a memory of a traveler, and we wanted this traveler to talk about Mexico and about this diverse experience of Mexico. This brand has been sold to different key destinations, but the proposal and what we're working on is to start being more diverse also in our communication and media in the next years in regards with this concept. We have encouraged this concept, and we have included different materials and new formats and different innovations in media in and mass media. This is what we have managed with this brand at the international level, and it has uh, brought good outcomes and results. In the domestic market last year, for the first time in the tourism history, was launched the spot for each tourism destination. The participation of all destination has been uh, extensive, like Cabos, but Tlaxcala has also participated in a significant way. And this was done for the first time in history. Today, in Live It to Believe It, in the domestic market has been uh, planted and has given good results. And this has given us the possibility to bet on a specific programs, and this is what we're doing in the domestic market this year. Today, we are working strongly and solidly with the pueblos mágicos or magic towns. What else can I add to this? To my speech today, the brand strategy is being implemented to show a more inclusive, embracing Mexico, a more diverse Mexico. And we want to move away from those um, strong destinations. We want um, to plant to nurture the companies and new destinations. This is what I wanted to share with you for the brand of Mexico, and I'm not sure if you have any questions. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, Rodrigo Cobo will interact with the different experts of each destinations. We will start with Miguel Gonzalez from Jalisco because he has a meeting of realities and we are running out of time. So I would like to thank him that he is now with us. He is the director general of the tourism promotion of Jalisco, and he's been working with the Vallarta brand at this moment. Thank you very much, Carlos. Good morning to all of you. Well, in this case, something that is very interesting uh, at present in Voga, beyond the efforts that we have made to build Vallarta and all the renovations, we want to communicate with the objective market. During years, our objective was to give the power of a decision to the consumer so that they could make decisions according to their motivations and to determine the profile of each of the destinations. Efforts have been done along with the co-brandings, and there is a wide material on this. The brand is a strategic tool to differentiate products and services to the objective market with the only intention to emotionally involve the consumer and to stay loyal to their needs. Puerto Vallarta Nayarit, this brand that you have known throughout these last few years, has now an alliance with with brands and co-brandings. This is how this treaty is called. In this case, particularly the requirements to for the co-brandings to exist are. Are, are to strengthen the relationships between the co-branding and the consumer and know the traveler's profile, the visitor's profiles. This is important to note. Today, within this context, we have to consider customers in both brands. These are one of the main objectives that we have to consider, where efforts and have to be made in order to recognize both brands as and to establish a successful co-branding to the medium term. There's something interesting that we should take into account. Technically, all these efforts have been successful, especially for Puerto Vallarta and Nayarit. Something that we should be careful is the existence of a working team that can assess the impact and the results. What's the movement, how the indicators have been behaving of each one of the brands. And we shouldn't forget about this. Assessment is important for all of us and the results as well. There are very interesting strengths, especially the advantages. The advantages, sorry, are to strengthen competitivity of the brand. Today in the market, we have seen clearly and precisely that the market is quantitative. Regions like or destinations, beach destinations, reflect an increase on the operations. The traffic of visitor is high, and this is the core areas where efforts have been made. But we should also open our possibilities to other destinations. Other important points to highlight is to create a new value in the customer so that he can feel that has an added value for this work and effort of different activities that are being carried out for different markets. Of course, We should also be careful and cautious in different aspects and be attentive to all the efforts regarding investments. Uh, Especially for long term periods, we should reinvent our efforts and strategies so that it's not diluted within the context of destinations and different possibilities in regards to beach destinations. Paco was mentioning a few minutes ago that beyond it's being done with the big segments that have known throughout the decades, and that we have been mentioning from the social and anthropological point of view, the alpha female, the bobos, the geeks, the hipsters, we all participate within this social context. We are not so addicted to new technologies, but one reality is that we should always be connected. All these tribes break the scenario, the scheme of the social culture. These are topics that uh, connect us, that communicate us. These are topics that um, interest us because these are new niche markets. For example, bobos are people, wealthy people, but who spend a lot of money. But we do not pay attention to them due to their um, dressing codes and clothing. But we should be putting attention to them. For those who are travelers searching for the healthy tourism, they also gather and communicate due to common interest topics. We should be communicating with them and offer them destinations. There is something particularly in regards to efforts and marketing. People know this. Marketing efforts should be divided into two phases. One is positioning, which should be a compromising act in the public sector, and another one is trading that has more to do with the private sector. So this is where we are moving towards. We should take into account what's been the behavior of the last 4 years of the international traveler. Beach destination have had a growth of 3% from the thousands of travelers around the world. Beach destinations, the market quota has increased only by 3%, but here's where we have to be very careful. Those who leverage our destinations or mm, international travelers to cities have a growth 40%, which means growing quota, increasing quota of 12% to international destinations. So beach destination means a new challenge, and there is more work to do in regards to this area. Thank you very much. And they say it said that technology has no words, but here I am. I have here my draft. Thank you, Miguel. Now to continue with the success case studies of different destination and product development, I would like to invite Ceci Garcia, who is director of OCB in Tabasco, and she will talk about the chocolate route. Thank you, Carlos, for inviting us to talk about Tabasco, the Eden of Mexico, and these new pathway or routes of of chocolate. Tabasco is one of the richest and most uh, biodiverse states. It is marked by one of the biggest rivers of the country, and it also includes um, one of the most important pre-Hispanic cultures like Mayan and Olmecan cultures. The geographical location, the abundance of water due to the two biggest rivers, and the presence of cultures help us to find three main aspects in regard to tourism. First is nature, secondly is cultural diversity, and thirdly is gastronomy, which gathers the cultural and biodiversity richness. And this is something that our young chefs have known how to take advantage or benefit from. These are one of the three main rich areas in Tabasco. Um, we integrate water and chocolate and also gastronomy and biodiversity. This allows the visitor to have a one day trip, or 2 day trip, or 3 day trip. We start in Villahermosa, and let me just make a parenthesis. Villahermosa is located. When you visit Tabasco, you can have a different adventure each day and go back to your hotel in Villahermosa. All our routes and places are very close to Villahermosa. So we start off from Villahermosa, and in 20 minutes we reach a place called the Espino, and here we take a boat to start a trip of a 20 minutes trip where we can observe some of the 500 bird species in Tabasco. Throughout the country, we have around 1,000 bird species. In Tabasco, we have around 500. If you like fishing, well, this is a perfect destination for you because we have an abundant of fishing experiences. So this is a beautiful place with beautiful landscapes. For example, the lagoon of Michoacan that leads you to the gate of the Gulf of Mexico. At the Laguna of Michoacan, there are some valleys, and we start reaching the gastronomy corridor. We are one of the main producers of oysters, and we also offer crabs and so on. So we are 13 kilometers from the archaeological site of Comalcalco, and a Mayan site which is unique in its unique. Mayans from this late classical period constitute built this site with a decorated bricks, and these were worked in a very interesting way. At the museum in this site, you can study and see how these were built. But Comalcaco is also important because it was um, an important trading site, and trading was made with this wonderful silk called cacao or cocoa, and this was taken into the highlands to the Spaniards, and then was called the chocoatl, and it was mixed with other spices, and this beverage was prepared for the nobility, and it would give the nobility and the higher classes uh, a good sense of well-being, a sense of well-being. So we have all these parts, where the visitor can experience, well, first to visit the cocoa plantation, to then experience the transformation, uh, the industrial and creation of cocoa. But with this, we cover the cultural aspect, and then we go back to Villahermosa, and then we um, t- that is prepared by chefs in like Gourmet MX of Gabriel Gris. And with this, we close the experience of the circuit of water and chocolate. I would like to conclude using two tools to highlight our promotion. First is bird sightseeing, where we highlight all these um, areas, and secondly is the Festival of Chocolate, which is celebrated annually in the state of Tabasco. And just remember that Tabasco is an Eden. Thank you very much. I would like to invite the participants. I would like to give the floor to Fernando Gonzalez, who is the president of, sorry, of the hotels of Riviera Nayarit, who will talk of biodiversification of luxury tourism. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for your invitation. Um, After 8 years of the brand launching here in Acapulco,
And I will give you some background regarding this matter. We were dealing with a brand we wanted to be used in order to promote ourselves. So this has been very important. First of all, we have Nuevo Vallarta, and this was kind of an agrarian effort. This it was a result of an effort made in 2008, and we also had this short-time condos. After this, well, we had the lodge tax, and we decided to do this. Importantly, now we have about some other resources in order to give all these institutions the support they needed. The next, we had a large investment in the region called Punta Mita. This is an example, a clear example of what has happened in our country, because it has five diamond hotels. And for instance, we have some other efforts made, and we are thinking about what we can do in this new relationship with Nuevo Vallarta. We have to be all inclusive, and we also have the Topeka Chamber. And we asked him, how are we going to advertise ourselves? We do not have the Bay, we are not Nuevo Vallarta, so we have to create a brand for this destination. And something very important as well is that when we launched the brand, there was consensus between the society and hotel owners, because in this way we were able to be accepted. We are close to Puerto Vallarta, but we did not form part of it, and we were unable to make a joint promotion. We were really handling some other taxes, and there was a recent development in Guayabitas, and we were trying to really share the bay and Vallarta Nayarit with that, with this effort with CPTM, that it was not inclusive. Why Riviera Nayarit? This was a region that was a kind of new region formed by people of Fonatur, and the goals we had was to place Nayarit on the tourist map, and Nayarit was growing from a tourist perspective, and we needed to include the Nayarit name in order to make it attractive. It is an inclusive brand. It included Puerto Vallarta, San Lite, and also Punta Mita, and all the destinations Fonatur had and Mitibu, and we also had San Blas in the northern part of the region. We also had a sense of quality in our country, and we were comparing this with Riviera Maya. Riviera was really a very good term accepted by the people. What are the challenges we have? How can we make it public with little money? We need to be strategic, and we wanted to really encompass all these matters. Actually, there were very many opinions and some other things in terms of logistics, rules, and regulations. How are we going to really measure all this if we're going to use this brand? We had to really be consistent in terms of result measuring and how to give continuity to the brand. This is something we all experience at federal level in order to really make use of the campaigns and to see governmental periods. And something else is that this should be inclusive for all the state. Riviera Nayarit should not really become a place that will live apart to the others. The tax is managed at a state level. We have, for instance, Compostela, Guayabito, San Blas, and Bahia de Banderas. And actually, we need to really see all the approvals of these resources that have to be approved by the trust. Today's achievements, as we have said, we have tried to measure the degree of penetration, both in terms of consumers' trips, with very good results. These are 2014 results in the states. All the travel agencies are aware of Riviera Nayarit, and they are experts. They are really very knowledgeable. And in Canada, this is even higher, 83% know the brand, 45% specifically, and 25% just in the case of consumers, and we can even arrive at 29%. And with the campaigns made by very many travel agencies, we see all the areas of influence, and we have Mexico, Monterrey, and some other places as well. The strategy are the different actions that we have implemented at the convention's office, and a great effort has been made in order to certify the people in terms of the knowledge they have about the destination. And of course, we have the tennis office because we want to become the itinerant tianguis. We have a very strong PR campaign, and this also forms part of South America. We have people specialized in this. And this is really what we are planning on making. Obviously, this is a very important effort. We have also displayed in the social media, and actually we see that very many people were not familiar with Riviera Nayarit, and it was really very depicting because we needed to be more present. And of course, the alliance we have with Puerto Vallarta, and now we are really launching this unprecedented brand, and we have recovered 40 places we lost, and we have great expectations in order to really comply with this in order to consolidate the brand. Thank you. Thank you, Fernando, for this talk on the development of the Riviera Nayarit brand. And now we will have the representative of Los Cabos in order for him to tell us about the success of this destination. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Carlos, for the invitation. Thanks to all. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we are doing today with Los Cabos Brand, how we really are aware of it. And instead of speaking about we know what we are doing and this world trends, Francisco, really help us a lot in order for us to know what we are doing and where are we placed in this quadrant. The Los Cabos brand has a new slogan that was introduced before, and it is located between the Cortez Sea and the Pacific Ocean, and Los Cabos brand has been a little bit difficult because actually people are aware of this brand as a brand, but this is addressed to the US market. How can we make that this national market will really form part of this visitors network we have on an annual basis? So we have really been devoted to develop a digital strategy that will allow us to approach this new market segments, this millennials and baby boomers, in order to really be attractive to them. As we all know, we are trying to approach customers with different strategies, unique strategies, and in the market, in particular Los Cabos, which is a sun and beach market, and we got 1.6 million visitors. We're looking for this diversification that will allow our customers to really live a unique one and only experience in order for them to always go back. How can we share this in a digital platform that will be measured and will allow us to keep on creating impact all over the world in order to create more tourism? Los Cabos has a perception of luxury tourism vis-a-vis some other destinations in Mexico. Well, the rate that closed in $240 for each one of this 14,000 rooms we have makes us rethink with each one of them what type of markets we will be addressing and how. In the world, there are very many benchmarks or the ideal concept. So we know that this is, for instance, the case of Australia, what it is doing with the social media. It is the most visited site all over the world, and there are very many things they do in terms of this. So we have been devoted to studying what these brands are doing and be able to incorporate some multimedia and digital media strategies for the mobile phones because over 82% of the people have these devices, and in this way we will really help tourists going to TripAdvisor to really be familiar with our destination. And because we had 22 visits, and they will be able to really tour my destination, fall in love with it, and be able to go with it. This is in terms of the brand, what we need to do so as to see all these thousand variables in order for us to really do the best. What are we doing? We are developing this multimedia strategies. We are using HTML5 or the coming trends, developing videos. We're developing 32 videos because we know that content is the most important thing in order to show the world what we have, and this content is developed. And if we know that this Las Cabas market is formed by the US market, we know that some years ago We are aware that it has grown a lot and it represents 30% of what we have. And actually, well, we have some other strategies we are developing. For instance, 360 degrees video. We are about to get these videos under the water, and we would be the very first destination all over the world introducing or presenting this type of 360-degree video, and some other materials were being devoted to in this world multimedia, which is the very much versatile and offers this experience. For instance, that a whale will approach your boat, that a dolphin can swim with you, not only in a dolphin fishpond, but actually this is what people are looking for during their vacations. So this is what we want to give the tourists. We are being focused on this. Well, thank you very much, Luis. Well, last, I will give Gloria Cana, the Deputy Secretary of Guanajuato, who will tell us about the development of the gastronomy of the state. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. I want to share with you what is the positioning strategy we are implementing in Guanajuato by means of gastronomy. And I would like to tell you that we decided to implement this in 2010 without knowing where we were going to arrive at. So we started to develop a product portfolio in order to commemorate the century, one other century of our independence. So we decided to delve into these matters in order to identify new tourist opportunities by developing products. And at that time, we were able to discover that tequila was a very important potential, wine as well, festivals, and everything that had to do with routes and circuits. For instance, the Independence route. Well, we have already gone through it, and the tour from Dolores to San Miguel de Allende, and we started to include some other points in order to attract new tourists with new attractions, and but still resorting to the segments that we already had. Guanajuato was perceived for adults or senior citizens or for visitors who were just to remember what they did during their childhood. But we wanted to create a new attractions for younger people in order to give Guanajuato a more modern perspective and to make our destinations known. So we have already worked with some other projects with a very incipient development of tequila, and we were working with communities, tequila makers, in order for them to open their hearts and their doors. And we started with the tequila circuit. We started working with the three vineyards, and at the beginning we did not want to give this a tourist approach, but they decided to open their doors, and we really created, trained operators in order to market our products, and we started working strongly with festivals. We at the state have festivals all over the year. We are one of the states that has the largest number of festivals, and we have the music festival, culture festival, but really music is very important, gastronomy as well. So this was just by chance. And actually, in 2010, we were able to have the presence of Fernando Olivera, the Secretary of our state. He was in charge of tourism, and he got involved in this tourist development in such a way that when he arrived as the Secretary in our state, he knew perfectly well how to manage all those products for the bicentennial commemoration. So we started thinking about how we could really potentialize all this, but it was not ready yet to be marketed. It was just a result of an important phenomenon in 2010, but we needed to make it public. So there was a proposal in order for us to create a program, and actually, this really had to do with the gastronomic proposal. This allowed us to really see very many achievements we have made where we integrated all the gastronomic festivals, all the tours we had with our tourist products, all those projects that in one way or another could really be related to gastronomy. And we were able to really have a very many possibilities. On the one hand, to have a better positioning effort where we took all these assets with this one and only project with a very well defined strategy in order to address this to the correct markets. In a second opportunity, we saw how we were going to position our sector. We needed to organize all the festivals, the destinations, and to see that each one of the destinations would be working with its candidates and the hotel associations, tourist operators, and as a destination, they could present to submit a proposal that could be validated by us. All these efforts have allowed us to start participating in some contests and awards, and this is how we are called the Ibero-American capital of Latin American gastronomy. This is maybe the best gastronomy in Mexico, and I would like to share with you that this award was given to us due to a series of factors because they really acknowledge, and as we have presented our expertise, we are still seeking for this cultural identity, gastronomic identity. And in this search of identity, of our identity, we are able to know which our roots are, what really tells us apart. And this has been very interesting because we have found why we do not have this catalog of typical dishes that you are not knowledgeable of. In addition to guacamayas mineras and some other dishes, we can make important contributions with more fusions, with more dishes, because Guanajuato really represents the mining and the historical development our country in Latin America had. And these are topics that we have really put forward in order to identify our gastronomy, and this is a project we recognize and really becomes a public policy of our state, which is not only supported by the state but also by the Congress, by the governor, and it has really become a very important policy that really helps us to really work cross-sectionally with different agencies of our government.
Therefore, this year we have worked in developing all these legacy that we will leave in terms of gastronomy. This is reflected in a program that is focused only to the gastronomy sector that we will um, show tomorrow in a press conference where we will show an annual program in 2015, which includes more than 100 events and activities so we can encourage gastronomy and start seeing it as a central, as a core um, to potentialize new sectors and markets in which we are working now. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. I would like to congratulate the newspaper El Viaje, who is covering two topics which are very interesting for us, which is tourism and traveling. So now we have to focus to map and on monitoring travelers And two, we have to learn which are the different destinations of significance and specialize on these destinations. And three, we have to develop products and branding and to personalize the strategy of promotion. In the case of Nayarit, we saw the development of a brand, a very interesting one. In the case of tobacco, in Tabasco, we saw how to integrate different products, and the development of content is something important. And in the case of Guanajuato, we learned of the development of the gastronomy product. Four, which is fundamental of all cases, technology. We shouldn't just sell products through the internet. It also gives us opportunity to communicate with the clients and customers. And something that David commented and that is being done by the private sector is the use of the big data to understand how the customer sells and buys and how it moves throughout the internet. And number five is something that I mentioned before is passion of the development of brands, the development of knowledge, of getting to know our customers and getting to know the travelers. And this is something that we should never lose. Thank you, Carlos and Laura, for this initiative. And thank you, all of you, for your attendance today.